So Kris Jenner's facelift is now apparently, quote unquote, slipping. Look at the headline here. We need to talk about that today because even if you're not getting a $300,000 facelift, there's huge implications for what you can do. I'll talk about what the sabotage conspiracy theory is, and also the deep plane versus the SMAS lift and all the controversy therein. But look at this other headline. Kris Jenner's facelift nightmare. They're calling it a nightmare. The Kardashian manager, 70 years old, that's a key data point, is raging, meaning raging mad, her $300,000 miracle makeover, because as you'll remember, it was touted to be a miracle. And we're going to look at those initial miracle pictures today, important findings there. They say is already slipping. And one final one, she's mad as hell and desperately, here's the key point, wants a revision. Well, remember, a key data point is this was a revision. I think it was about 15 years ago or so, she had the first one. Now, the first one is going to last the longest. The second and third, they last less. And I'll take you through exactly the length of time one would expect. But hers revision was done in May 2025, around that time. So about a year ago. That's way too quick for slippage, and thus a lot of people are talking about the sabotage. Now here is a picture that was associated with the slippage reports. Where is the aging first? This is paramount. You see it's in the lower face. One of the things you have to keep in mind, no matter what, SMAS or deep plane, it's not going to help enlarge the lips. It's not going to help the chin dimpling. You can see her here. The nasolabial folds, of course, lifting will help that. Hers look a little deeper here, but you'll remember she always had a lot of volume in the anterior mid-cheek here. Exactly where we need to fill when people are on GLP-1s or the weight loss medications or the new Retta. An aside, but an important point. But also look here, she's smiling and puckering a little bit. Now let's go to some other pictures. This will make more sense. Now here was the initial before and after from last year's surgery. You look on the left, that was the before. On the right, a lot of people commented, yes, she got a nice lift. She was narrower in the jawline. That's what it's supposed to do. But notice here the chest. You see how the chest is congruent with the face? That spells what? Filter. So you see here in the post, it was already set up for failure in a sense because you're looking at a filtered picture. And the smile is much different. It's not a deep smile, especially with a SMAS lip that's sometimes under tension. It alters the smile with the big smile. Angles matter. Let's move on. One thing here you see in the honeymoon phase, and remember, the honeymoon phase is the time after you get a facelift. At about 2 to 4 months, you start coming out of the house, because people will now know maybe something was done, but the bruising's gone, it looks good. But what do you have? You have swelling. That lasts 6 months, even up to a year. Swelling looks great. That's what fillers do. They add volume. Biostimulators like Sculptra, PRF, add that nice filter face volume. After a facelift, you can't judge it till 6 months, pretty much a year, and you really want to look at 2 years. But you're never going to see before and afters at 2 years. Why? They're all, oh, here's my patient driving in the car with a selfie, highly filtered. That's the after you get. You want to look at 1 year and preferably 2 year. Yes, the jawline holds up. That's what's going to hold the most. But most people, what else are you looking at? The perioral area, and bone plays a role. I want to show you another picture. Remember, facelifts don't alter the bone. They don't change the dermal thickness. They don't get rid of sunspots. They don't get rid of reds or rosacea. And they don't help with dullness. Now, again, you can see here in a before and after state, the before in the honeymoon phase on the left, May 2025. So surgery was probably around what, February or March, and then March of 2026. So just this year. Now, before we go on, would you be happy with this result? The other thing you'll note, often at about 2 to 4 months, they're wearing sunglasses, something covering the neck. Everyone's covering something. So that honeymoon phase, it's a wax and wane situation. And you'll see her wear those things at 1 to 4 months. A little different when you've told the world you've had it. Now let's address the Sabotage situation. So what happens? If you get a $300,000 facelift, as you all know, and will comment below, if you're willing to share the pictures, you can get a discount of maybe $150, maybe $50, maybe $25,000. What does that depend on and what triggers people? You don't know until after and what you share. So a lot of people will say that's precarious, nefarious on the end of the provider, the surgeon, that if you're going to share positive things, you're probably going to get more off. I'm not saying that happened in this case, but it's what triggers people when they go for the consult. They get quoted. 100,000 is pretty normal, Beverly Hills, and those with high social media accounts, 200,000 to even 300,000. Remember, it's not necessarily the skill of the surgeon, it's their social media accounts that props them up on the price range and the popularity. So the Sabotage comes in where she posted about this, even invited her plastic surgeon to her birthday party. She was open with what she spent. Of course, the bookings of that surgeon would go way up. Now, if someone in the field is jealous, there's a lot of egos in this entire industry. And imagine if they say, I don't like that guy. He's getting $300,000 a facelift and he's booked out 3 years. That's what happens. They could put out there that she is unhappy. All you need is a press release, someone to say it, someone with a big social media account. It goes everywhere. And then it wasn't really said. And we don't have an exact quote from Kris Jenner that said this. This is hearsay from what's called a reputable source. That's what's blown up Instagram, TikTok, and the entire internet. However, it brings up a real problem. The side effects of facelifts, what? When you go deep plane, you're going deeper, and so there's nerves. Nerve damage is the big one everyone's concerned about. Hematomas, collections of blood. You can ding the nerve so you don't move normally for 1 to 4 or 5 months. A lot of anxiety until it comes back. If the nerve is severed or cut, that is when you're in a real pickle because it may not come back. There's a big protocol, but that's when people look unlike themselves and have altered facial movements for the rest of their life. The other problem, of course, becomes a lot of the fat may not take. And keep in mind, facelifts don't make the lips bigger. Sure, you can take fat, transfer it, move it around. Works well for small areas under the eyes, but for a face, it's not going to change your bone structure. It's not going to change the aforementioned things I mentioned. But also, even if you put a bunch of fat in, that's a great thing because that's going to add the volume that people go get fillers, Sculptra, PDLA, all those things, Gory, PCL for, the biostimulators. However, the lip doesn't have a lot of fat. A lot of the fat, if you inject it in the lip, is going to be gone. So people end up needing fillers and biostimulators and everything after the surgery. However, you're going to hear the narrative that you can't get a facelift after getting Sculptra or fillers or threads. And granted, a thread, a fresh thread going through the base could look like a nerve. So in a deep plane facelift, when dissecting down, imagine you see something that looks like a thread and you cut it to take it out and it was a nerve. That's disastrous. So yes, you don't want to get Sculptra or threads within 6 months to 1 year. There was recently a plastic surgeon that did 100 cases over the course of a few years, and he said 3 to 6 months, avoid Sculptra or threads before your facelift. I say 1 year because why not? Fillers, yeah, you can dissolve them. They pose a little bit of a problem, but not as much as Sculptra and threads that are fresh. Because remember, a first facelift's going to last you 10 years, the next one about 4 or 5, and the next one potentially less. And the reason is a facelift produces the most scar tissue in a face that you can possibly get. Way more than Sculptra, threads, Bellafill. Bellafill, you might get close if you put too much in. But suffice it to say, the most scar tissue is produced when you cut the skin, when you release the ligaments, when you do a deep plane and lift up. And the idea is, however, a deep plane facelift is longer lasting, scientifically proven, than a SMAS lift. Albeit many would say the risks of a SMAS lift are less. She had a SMAS and SMASectomy lift, according to what you can best figure out from what was said around the internet and what she has said and what her surgeon is known for doing. Is a younger patient going to get a better, longer result? Yes, that makes sense. Their skin and tissues are better, but when they need their revision at 10 to 15 years, And when you start looking at yourself, you're going to want the surgery quicker anyway because you're into aesthetics. So if you get one at 40, you're probably going to want to keep looking good at 50, 55 because now your estrogen's gone and you're going to need one then, and it's going to be more difficult and last less. So for many of us, we want to get one in our lifetime. So we'll choose the age of, for a woman, 55 to 65, and for a man, North America style, 60 to 65, 67 to 70. That is personal and up to you. Depends on your job, career, lifestyle, and what you're into. Also remember, in this case, Hollywood expectations are huge and usually way more beyond what you and I expect of something. So lower expectations, the better. Now, what are the treatments? Of course, especially for the lower face, you need a little bit of filler, a little bit of volume, not a bad thing. Sculptra with PRF, perfect for the lower face. Bone, K2D3, and bone stimulation. A lot of people use vibration to maintain your bone. Hormone replacement. A lot of people at 70 like her may already be on those things. However, combining something like Sculptra and PRF for the lower face, that allows for movement, builds your collagen, gives you a nice little layer of volume to hide what you're seeing there, which is the dimpling from the puckering from surgeries, procedures, and muscle contraction. Also, CO2 laser is amazing. You get a bit of tightening, but that will help a little bit of your reds, but mainly browns, and give you some skin tightening. Many practitioners have gone from a CO2 to erbium YAG. A little lesser side effects with that. I still like CO2. Things that we use in Asia like PDLA, different than Sculptra. It's an isomer of that. Guri, which is your threads all chopped up. That's PCL, polycaprolactone in liquid. And then you'll know things like salmon sperm, which is PDRN or PN, little fragments of DNA, and exosome facials, those types of things. Subtle. And of course, lifestyle plays a role. Decrease your alcohol, exercise, get your hormones up naturally, eat enough protein. Those are all things we, the regular people, can do, but she'll be able to get a great result if she's willing to do those type of treatments at this point. Imagine going for another facelift now. It can be done, of course. Again, expectations here. Comment below. I want to hear your thoughts on this. If you ever want me to bring in a roundtable of plastic surgeons to discuss all this, if you really want to geek out on a deep plane facelift versus a SMAS lift, versus not ever doing a facelift, or even just a lower face, and why most women after the age of 55 need a full deep plane, comment below. Now I want to watch this video all about skin priming to keep your skin and body beautiful, healthy, and vibrant.